transmission.
Oh, we're back. We're already back. What's up, everybody? GSL Season 2 already here. We just wrapped up an amazing Season 1 finals, and we're here ready for some more.
Yeah, man, it's only been a couple of days since the last weekend, but GSL continuing on already here with Season 2, and it's going to be an exciting start. SHIN, runner-up from the last GSL season, is going to be playing today. It's a pretty stacked group, and I'm excited to be back.
It's good. We had 2 days off, and here we are again, and we're going to have Kira and SHIN in the same group once more. ByuN's had an amazing run so far here in the year 2026, and we've got SOS returning.
Yeah, that's going to be real exciting, having SOS back. I know he tried to qualify in the last GSL season, but to make it through into the round of 12 this time, he's going to be playing now in Code S, and I'm so curious about where he's going to be at. It seems like his PBT right now, if his GSL qualifiers or any metric to go off of, it's looking really good, so we'll see how he's going to perform today.
So we're going to be on tonight and tomorrow night here for the round of 12, and then next week, same time, same place here for the round of 8. Our semifinals and finals are going to be on Sunday yet again. The Sunday broadcast will, there will be tickets for sale on that. If you want to come down, you are, of course, always welcome to do so. It was so good to meet you guys in person. You know, we don't have that many live studio dates, but it was great to do photos with you guys, sign stuff, say hello, just talk for a minute.
Yeah, having a live audience back is just the stuff dreams are made of. I live for offline StarCraft 2, so thanks for you guys for showing up, and also thanks for you for supporting the GSL and making this possible. If you want to support the GSL, you can either do so directly on SOOP or go to patreon.com/GSL. There are a couple different tiers available. You can see all the perks right there on your screen. This is kind of where StarCraft 2 is at these days. A lot of the tournaments are getting crowdfunded. It's just where we are in the history of StarCraft 2. It's been, what, 15 or 16 years now, and for esports to continue on, it's the support of the fans that really is the lifeblood.
It's the will of the people. By the way, guys, we have these tiers that we're trying to hit. I guess you'd say like watermarks. And so we're going to see if we can get a Season 3 here. We're currently floating between the $6,000 and $10,000 goal. Excuse me. So, I mean, consider signing up if you would. As you saw on the previous graphic, we've got various ways to do it. You can do it on the SOOP site or app. You can do it on Patreon, whatever makes sense for you. Here's where we're at currently. Wow. Bit of an increase, actually, from the Season 1 finals just 2 or 3 days ago. So, yeah, I'm excited to be back here doing Season 2. It's kind of nice to be back in the rhythm of doing StarCraft 2. We've got RSL as well on the weekend here. There's a lot of StarCraft 2. If you like watching, there are games and casts out there for you to enjoy. And, it's exciting to have SOS back for the season as well. He's always good enough. He can show up and hang. He can compete.
We have a look at the format in 2026 GSL. It's the same if you've been watching earlier in Season 1 or from 2025. We have the round of 12 taking place today and tomorrow, but 4 players have already qualified through the GSL qualifiers. They have a second stage that seeds the top players directly into the round of 8, and those 4 players are Maru, Hero, Clem, and Rogue. So we have a foreigner competing in the GSL in the round of 8. That is Clem. He's already qualified. He's already waiting. You see right there, he'll be playing on the 27th. And if Clem wins that, I guess that means he's coming to the offline finals here in GSL. What a treat that would be.
That would be so crazy. I'd love to be casting Clem here on our final day. The studio would be going nuts for sure. But very cool to have a non-Korean here, a foreigner as the Koreans would call it, competing in this season of GSL. He'll be on next week because he is in the upper part of the qualification set here for our tournament. So today we're going to have Cure, SOS, ByuN, and SHIN. We've been having a lot of Cure, ByuN, and SHIN here the last 3 months, and I'm loving it. All 3 of these guys have played amazingly. With SOS, I don't know how he's going to perform here. This is, in periods of StarCraft 2, literally the best player of all time. My personal favorite player in the whole world to cast.
Oh, he's so much fun to cast.
Yeah, he probably has brought the biggest variety of impressive games ever. But he's going up against Cure. Cure is in incredible form. Cure really seems to be a Protoss slayer as well.
Yeah, Cure's TVP seems to be leveling up recently as he had a top 4 finish in the last GSL, partly on the back of his TVP. But, you know, SOS coming through the GSL qualifiers, he defeated Bunny and ByuN. That's how he made it here into the round of 12. So it looks like his PVT is also looking pretty good. And I think if Cure is in his top 4 form as he was literally last weekend, and SOS is on the up and up in PVT, I think we're going to have a pretty explosive series between these two.
Here he is, SOS.
He's gonna go play football right after the win today. All right.
Yeah.
I like that spirit, man. Staying active.
Yeah, I love it. Again, it's so exciting to have him down here. And you know, he's always been good enough. Although I don't know how active he is right now. I also know he was playing some StarCraft 1. There's been some guys playing both games for the time being, so I know he was active. That might have been last year. Fairly active in StarCraft 1. Obviously, a player who's good enough, if he can show up and play, to come here and play in StarCraft 2. But I don't know exactly how his approach to the game is. You know, SOS has always been able to kind of directly counter people strategically and also come up with strategies that you can never prepare for because they're so novel, so unique. And then he'll discard them for the rest of history. You never see them again. We're going to be on the map Ruby Rock here to start this best of 3 off. Cure, who has been absolutely active and looking terrifying, going up against, I guess what we call now our old school legend, SOS, in Group A here for our first best of 3 back in the GSL.
All right, Ruby Rock for map number 1 to kick off Season 2 of the GSL in 2026. We have SOS spawning. At the top left is the red Protoss, Cure, the blue Terran, in the bottom right. And an early probe scout here from SOS. Now, if this was Hero, I would be expecting this just to be a scout, and it very well could just be for a scout. But with SOS, you never really know, Tasteless.
Yeah, you never know what to expect. But it has been common with Protoss in general to basically just scout and see, like, is there a barracks here or is there not? Proxies have become very popular, and it's not like there's just one kind of proxy. There's been a lot of different kinds of proxies. I like the placement of this barracks, by the way, when the probe comes up. There's a lot less surface area to get unlucky with for the SCV. Is if it's on the depot or on the top right, the probe can't really harass it. And although we talked about the fact that there are a lot of proxies, you know, a wide array of different types of proxies in the game, this is not going to be one of those games. By the way, SOS actually making a pylon and his gateway in the back of his base behind the minerals, maybe so that if he is scouted, it might look like a proxy or some kind of weird Max Packs build.
It's a very interesting place to be building those structures. We haven't quite gotten a shot of it just yet, but you can tell on the minimap, as Tasteless said, that pylon and gateway all the way tucked in the back of SOS's main base as he continues to scout the double gas opening here of Cure. It is a really cute wall that Cure went for.
Yeah, I really like. You know, it's one of those things you see it and you kind of think, I wonder if we're going to see that all the time right now, because it, you know, once you see the placement of it.
Hold on a second, Tasteless. SOS just took the 9 o'clock base as his second expansion. He doesn't. There's no SCV on the map. He didn't get blocked. There's no engineering bay block or anything. Wait, what on earth are you doing?
Are you
SOS?
sure there's no SCV block?
Yeah, there's no scout from Cure. He just decided to take the 9 o'clock, and I mean, this is just bizarre. I don't know if I've ever seen this.
Yeah, a voluntary far away second base.
But now Cure is going to scout the main base of SOS. Already something kind of funny is going to be there. There won't be a pylon, a gateway, and a core in the front. It'll be tucked away all the way in the back. And Cure notably is going to be seeing no expansion. And the moment the Reaper gets here into Protoss' expansion, alarm bells have to be ringing for Cure. He's going to be thinking, what are you doing? Where's your pylon? Where's your gateway even? And you see on a production tab, bunker immediately thrown down.
Yeah, because this looks like his base is empty. It's not. And so he's basically been prompted into defending. Dude, this is so good. But if the Reaper sees this, okay, so yeah. By the way, maybe the most unfortunate time to be spotted right as it finishes. So he cancels that. So, I don't know about this. Okay, I gotta really think when I look at a game like this. So he's gonna make a robo. The thing is, I mean, to trick him into making a bunker and canceling is not that great, right? I mean, had this not been scouted, Terran would probably be scrambling to defend. Maybe like rushing out a tank or something like that. Cure kills the Adept immediately. The problem when you take a third base far away is you're just really stretched trying to defend 2 locations. And like, yeah, you have recall, but like, you know, that's a finite resource as far as time in the game. And, you know, it's not like there's a creep highway you can use to connect your bases or anything. The infrastructure is split too, and maybe that's kind of the idea to play safe, as Immortals are at least going to be here protecting the natural. The second base, I guess we can call it. It's not really the natural expansion. And then the gateway, well, I guess you can warp in, so you can make anything anywhere there. But I don't know. You know, it's going to be an easy mid-game for the Terran. I don't think there's anything you really have to worry about going into this, but
there might be Tasteless. We have another gateway being thrown down by SOS. He's built an Immortal already. A Warp Prism got started up, but I think identifying this drop, SOS instead earmarking some more minerals for Stalkers right now to try and intercept this medevac. I think he's going to try and get aggressive behind this build. Here, going for Cloak Banshees now, continuing to add in Siege Tanks. This production really ramping up here for the Terran player. Those 3 Widow Mines still on a trajectory towards the natural expansion. I should say the second expansion of SOS. It is not, in fact, at the natural. And with a clutch time on a Stalker Warp-In, SOS should be able to deal with this without too much problem. Now, Cure is going to spot the Warp Prism. Actually, the Warp Prism is being utilized to potentially dodge the shots of the Widow Mines right now. That's why Cure isn't even letting these Widow Mines shoot at the probes.
yeah, looks like he's kind of mis-microed this. Again, this is a pretty big interruption. There's still 2 Widow Mines on the loose. 3 probe kills to only have 1 Widow Mine down. This is definitely good for Terran. Like a lot of the maps in StarCraft 2, you can always park the medevac in the vacant area behind the main. And look, I mean, SOS is just going to run across the map and hit. Now, I don't know how many probes are going to be lost in the process, but if Terran can't defend the entrance, that's going to be really hard to deal with. Here we go!
Able to get a Stalker and a probe. Warp Prism is in the main base now of Cure. Economic damage is going to take a lull here for Protoss, but I think the defensive setup that Cure has, especially keeping the Banshee back at home, is going to make it very challenging for SOS to actually find damage. I imagine we're going to see him take another expansion, and yeah, on the mini-map you see the natural just was taken by SOS.
Okay, he's going to land the Stalkers over here and try to get some kills of his own. Not going to be that easy to do, but I think we'll get a little bit here. Gets about 3 SCVs. He's going to recall that because obviously the Viking would have killed it. So back at home for Protoss, the Widow Mine is still a little bit of a threat. It looks like he will be able to get this one in here again. Not bad. And we know there's going to be a push, eventually here for Terran. Terran is getting a 3rd CC, so it's not an all-in. But I think, you know, SOS has taken a decent amount of damage, and it feels like it's going to get a little bit worse here. I mean, more probes are going to be killed by the Banshee.
No cloak, so it should make the defense a little bit easier. Unfortunately, SOS just threw down a Dark Shrine when that Banshee came into the main base, and the Banshee spawned at the moment that it started. So SOS was already trying to go for some unorthodox tactics, but Cure with a prompt scout able to figure that out very quickly. Already missile turrets being thrown down in the main base and the natural expansion here of Cure. And it's just a really defensive setup from Terran. I think he knows that the setup that SOS is going for with the 3 or 4 gateways in the robotics facility, the fast warp prism, SOS is trying to get aggressive. And if Cure can just delay as long as possible, getting a little bit of economic damage in, like the Banshee picking up 4 probe kills, the Widow Mines I think got 3 or 4 at least in total, while Cure effectively builds what is going to be a superb army here in the mid-game. It's a ton of Marines, Marauders, we have Siege Tanks added in, Engineering Bay upgrades are finishing up in just a minute.
We've pushed this game to the point where it doesn't really matter what order the bases were taken here for Protoss. He is going to move out here. There's no Raven to spot this. He's going to try to hit this 3rd CC. Oh, never mind. He scans, and he's actually going to kill that off. This is a lot for SOS. It's kind of scary.
Cure is going for a drop towards the main base of SOS. There is a spotter pylon warping in right now. I'm not sure if it's actually going to glimpse this medevac, though. It seems like the medevac just taking a wide angle. Able to skirt around where that pylon is. No spotting by SOS, just out of the field of vision. And it's going to be Blink DTs, too. Blink DTs and Blink Stalkers here, the techs of choice for SOS.
Okay, the Marines are going to rush in now. He's going to be able to take out a couple of workers here, and it's going to be a big force recall. Can he pick up the last second? No. He's going to have to just commit with this, what he's got over here. Oh, what? How is that possible?
6 HP on the medevac. Barely survives.
I've never been more confident in what I was going to say during a fight than that moment, and that got away.
I guess it was kind of a funny angle.
That's crazy. I can't believe that lived. So SOS takes the 4th base. And I got to say, SOS is looking good. The question is, how is he going to handle the push here from Cure? Because Cure's gotten so good at busting Protosses, it's kind of crazy.
I think a lot of this is going to come down to the very first fight, because SOS, although he is looking good right now, and he's keeping up with the Terran in terms of army, economically, he's actually not in the best position. He hasn't gone for any forge upgrades just yet, whereas Cure has a relatively fast engineering bay upgrade coming through. Already +1 infantry weapons is done, +1 armor is about 1/3 of the way done. And SOS has also been playing on a very low worker count. He's only at 58 probes right now, playing this on 3 gases, so a very mineral focus economy right now for SOS. And he might be even going for a double expand, but that doesn't mean the Protoss economy is going to be a lot better. He's still really struggling for income compared to the Terran. It's about 3,000 minerals a minute for Terran to the 2,500 of Protoss.
Okay, it's going to be 5 bases here for Protoss. We're getting into that point where the Protoss really does balloon out on the map, and they don't stop. It's not like you go on 5 bases and then, you know, you have to attack the Terran. Not at all. Right now in the matchup, it doesn't seem like you really have to kill the Terran right away at all. Now, SOS might try. That might be his approach in this game, but we've seen other Protosses that'll, you know, from here take the top right and the bottom left base and continue to grow. And just kind of power up and get to the point where their pockets are so deep, there's so many minerals, so much gas in the bank that they can refill and restock their army over and over and over again. And it's just so hard for the Terran to ever really get anything done.
I think SOS taking these extra expansions, it's mostly just for the mineral income. You can see on the minimap, he's not really trying to saturate any of these Vespene geysers. SOS wants to build an army of basically pure gateway units. He's adding in 5 more gateways right now. Who knows how many gateways he's up to already. And so there's going to be a ton of zealots added into this army. And I'm expecting SOS in a couple of minutes, once he maxes out, to actually start looking for the fights, because the army that Kira is constructing with 2 starports, with ghosts, with all the engineering bay upgrades coming in, is going to be so much more cost effective than what SOS has. But SOS is going to need to leverage his mineral income to trade out.
Yeah, we've got a big push coming in here. A lot of the SCVs are going to get killed off. Actually, not as many as I thought. Only about 9 there. Still a decent amount. And it looks like the Warp Prism goes down as well, so SOS not quite good at the multitasking there. But he is continuing to expand everywhere on the map. And you know, we have seen Cure, maybe the only Terran in the world that can kind of just sit through this abuse and then have enough Marauders and enough, you know, other stuff like Ghosts and late game tech to then push out across the map and counter and win. So we'll see if it's going to be that kind of game or not. This is annoying. He's going to lose his factory.
Yeah, it's all right. It served the purpose. We already have 2 starports out for Cure, so I'm not sure he's going to be especially worried about losing his factory.
You don't need tanks in this phase of the game, so.
Could repair it, too, if he really wanted to. SOS now adding in another Warp Prism, getting Warp Prism speed as well. He's going to try and pull Cure apart the best he possibly can. And again, for SOS, even though he's continuing to expand to the bottom left, which I think actually, looking at the minimap, Cure is trying to take out the expansion. Yeah, there is a drop over here, which might be able to get the cancel on this Nexus. This is a very low tech army for Protoss. We are finally adding in a second robotics facility to go with the Robo Base, so Colossi are likely going to be on the table in just a couple of minutes, but it's mostly gateway units. We just have a couple of Immortals added in, and this is not an army that scales well into the late game.
I mean, SOS is getting so big. He's leaving some supply open. You know, he could use that to like fly a Warp Prism to the main and then do a big warp in over there. But Cure has basically just kind of turtled, like the ultimate turtle style. And he's finally moving out. So, you know, this base, it's expendable. When you get this big, one way to play the game is to just counterattack because the Terran has less bases. So their bases are more valuable to them. You know, you could basically lose 1 to 2 bases as Protoss and still have a bigger economy. But Cure's been pretty smart. He's basically fractioned off small little squads, moving out and hitting and then running back while still having enough to defend.
I love the addition of proxy gateways now on the map, just adding even more warp-in points, plus the warp prism speed, because if SOS wants to win this game and take favorable fights versus Cure, it's going to rely on SOS being able to pull Cure apart by attacking in a lot of different locations at once. And with 2 warp prisms over here on the bottom side, with speed, I wonder if we're going to have both of those actually sent to the main base, because look at the minimap, I think that we have a ring of missile turrets in the main of Cure to deny 1 warp prism, but if you go with 2 speed prisms, well then suddenly SOS is guaranteed to get one into the main base and start warping in.
All right, he's going to set up. There is going to be a clash up here at the top right, too. But I do think Cure's army is basically better. He's going to fly this all the way into the middle.
Still dies to the turrets.
No, it's so funny. He has these Vikings, but there's no Colossus here. Yeah, I mean, he's going to wipe this out pretty badly. It does seem like we never had the Colossus tech come, which I kind of just assumed was always going to eventually get here one way or the other. So we have these like Vikings that don't really do anything, which I guess is going to be fine. We'll see if the counterattacks here from SOS can do anything, but I don't know how SOS is going to fight the core army that is available here. Nice shoot down here from SOS.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's possible for SOS to take a favorable trade with Cure's army at this point. SOS has been reset so many times, he's even lost half of his immortal count. It's mostly just Zealots and Stalkers still for SOS. I honestly believe if Cure were to push across the map right now, the best chance SOS would have would be to go for a base trade, because he cannot contest this army. Even with such a small amount of forces here, you can look at the mini-map, there's just a gigantic blob of Terran over here in the northeast. SOS cannot push in. It's just too hard a task versus a Terran that's got upgraded Liberators. I mean, we have them being produced 2 at a time right now. All these ghosts, the siege tanks back at home, missile turrets in the main base. Cure's defense is so tight.
Yeah.
And all right, SOS gonna be trying to attack in again here on the top right, but the Disruptors aren't especially good at pushing into those kind of skirmishes. So SOS will take one favorable trade over here, expanding all the way to the 6 o'clock position on the map. So most of the expansions on the map, they are SOS's, but one tab I would love to see more than anything else is the units lost tab, because I guarantee you, Cure has been so much more cost efficient over the course of this game.
Yeah,
it must look ridiculous.
That was the greatest EMP of all time. I think he literally hit every single unit. Like, if you wanted to see like what the EMP radius looks like, if it's filled up with a unit for every part of it, that's it. I actually think SOS is probably going to die in this game. Now, the counterattacks look kind of scary, but I don't think that he actually has any way to kill the core army that we have for Cure. Like, Cure's just going to continue to rampage here. Cure is going to have a hard time defending this spot over here, but I think as reinforcements come out, oh, well, hold on, Cure actually has these Liberators set up, ready to defend. This army is what I'm worried about here for SOS.
The army's absolutely massive, and SOS, he does have a considerable bank, 3,500 minerals and about 1,000 gas in total. If he warps in everything on Cure's side of the map, there is a chance that he's able to slowly whittle down the Terran, but it's going to rely on him not just taking down these expansions, but I think also getting on top of the production, because the expansions alone, I don't believe they're going to cut it here for SOS.
Yeah, you know, the issue is I think Cure can kind of abandon everything that he's got and just produce from his main, and he should be okay. He's got Liberators guarding this. It's a lot of Stalkers, though. Hold on a second.
SOS is remaxed very effectively. But
oh, no, he's got enough up here.
There's just so much. I mean, the army supplies are 162.
We're seeing this a
Cure
lot
right now.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. We're seeing this a lot in this matchup right now, where it, like, kind of, there's this big attack from Terran and this counterattack from Protoss, and this is like the giant crescendo of the entire game. And what happens is that Terran basically kills off everything. Turtles, and you know, both sides are in shambles, but Terran can kind of lift off the command center and slowly come out and turtle again. And Protoss is never able to rebuild the important attack. I don't know about this from Cure. Let's see how well this actually does. It's a lot of Stalkers. Oh, there's even more here from Cure. Yeah, this game's over. GG.
All right, Cure takes game number 1 with just an impenetrable defense and then well-handled management of the base trade that SOS goes for. And yeah, you're right, we haven't seen this a lot, especially in GSL, this base trade late game style of PvT. And I suppose it makes sense as the next natural evolution of where the PvT meta is at, because we already have Protoss players expanding all the way across the maps in most of the expansions. And they're constructing armies that aren't particularly strong, especially in a maxed out scenario, because it's mostly gateway units.
Right.
But because you have so many bases for the Terran player to try and take out, as long as you don't go head-to-head versus the main army, as SOS tried to demonstrate in that game where it was just avoiding the main force of Cure for as long as possible, you might just be able to base trade a little bit more quickly than the Terran, and then if you can remax and get a couple production cycles in at one of your other expansions elsewhere on the map, then maybe through just a sheer bank, you will be able to finally eclipse the Terran. It's a curious approach to PvT, just never going for the direct fight if you can't make it happen. Didn't work for SOS there in game number 1. Game 2 is about to load in. I wonder if we're going to deviate from the game plan in game number 1 here as SOS and go for something a little bit more quirky. We already had a little bit of a bizarre opening in game 1 from SOS. Let's see what he has prepared for us here in game 2.
Yeah, the game 1 opening was very SOS, by the way. Like hide the main, you know, your starting tech, the gateway behind your minerals, which by the way, like, nobody ever does. And then take like a weird second base that you weren't forced to take to make it look like you're one base all in. Obviously, the Reaper just scouted it. Okay.
Proxy pylon.
Right over the sponsor. Right over the Intel sponsor logo. Okay, so obviously, SOS is not down for a long game.
I love this mix-up coming in from SOS. It looks like it's just going to be one proxy gateway. I was curious whether he might throw down a second one and really try and commit to this. And a one proxy gateway is kind of like one proxy barracks in this matchup, where it does have the potential, if Cure is able to deal with the attack effectively, for this to transition into a normal-looking game. But SOS, I mean, make no mistake, he is absolutely looking to get damage done with this proxy gateway early on.
So let's see when Cure actually scouts how ready he's going to be for this. I'm a little bit worried for SOS. I think this is probably, if he was going to win, this is the way to do it. I think he's going to have to be kind of active and make the game, kind of shape the game in his own way and make Cure react. I think you can't just kind of play macro PvT with Cure. Cure seems to be maybe the best at this in the whole world. And kind of just like staying back and not really doing anything and letting the Protoss take the whole map. And then later on kind of having this like giant bulldozing army that just goes across the map, having all the right tech to deal with the counterattacks and swinging the game in a base trade situation here. But Cure's also been so good against everything early on. He really is becoming one of those like impossible to hurt Terran players. Those are always the scariest ones, where everything you try early it doesn't work, and then the push comes later and you always die.
Natural expansion is getting thrown down for SOS, but already there are 2 Zealots out on the map. Stalker's nearly complete as well. And now the pressure is going to be coming into the main base here of Cure. There are no military units here for Cure, so we need to rely on SCVs purely to repair because the Reaper's all the way across map. And actually, there was no shield battery built to the main base here for SOS, so he has to recall the Stalker. That's going to take a little bit of the firepower away from the attack on the front line. The probe also body blocking one of the Zealots as SOS is trying to get damage done on the reactor. That will buy Cure a lot more time. And Cure's confident enough, even knowing there's a proxy barracks, or proxy gateway, excuse me, to cancel the bunker.
Bogus tab! Okay, so there's this kind of attempt to use the probe to bait the shot and then do more damage. I mean, Cure's handled that basically perfectly. You know, it is a little bit annoying for, what's he gonna try to bait this out again? He's gonna use this. Look at this micro fight here. He's basically trying to not waste the mine shot on the Zealot. The thing is, every time this has to unburrow, yeah, there you go, it gets shot down. Really nice by SOS. I kind of thought this was over, but the micro fight, SOS does in fact come out on top.
Yeah, there is a timer put on this pressure by the Cyclone that's about halfway done. Stalkers are able to whittle down the Marine count to just 2. But it feels like the stage where SOS can continue to find damage on Cure's side map is effectively ending. And
yeah,
SOS recognizes that. He pulls the Stalkers back now. He's transitioning into, again, a robotics facility and a gateway before Twilight Council. So SOS, both in Game 1 and Game 2, loves this 3 or 4 gateway with Robo transition.
Yeah, and you could probably go into a War Prism and an Observer here, try to harass there. Terran's going to counterattack on the map, Cyclone and Marines. Now you know the gateway is going to be somewhere in the middle of the map or somewhere near you because the two Zealots got there the way they did. He's going to see it right over here. So do you just drop here and go for the pylon, or do you come back later? Okay, he answers that question before I can finish my finish the statement. And it looks like SOS is very ready for this.
3 Stalkers going to immediately focus fire down that medevac, so it's got to get away. Already only 31 HP, and I think at this point for Kira, you just go ahead and try and take down that pylon and find what damage you can. But oh, Stalkers got warped in at the forward gateway by SOS, so he picks off the medevac. Unfortunately, the Cyclone is able to take down one of these Stalkers, and with some good stutter step micro, threatens another. But I think SOS is going to be able to clean this up. I mean, that's an excellent trade for just 1 Stalker. Well done by SOS.
Yeah, I mean, that was unfortunate for Cure. I don't blame him for trying to come across the map and do something. The problem is that he's really not working with a lot now. And this is 4-gate with Warp Prism, like I was saying earlier. So, like, this is pretty scary. Like, if you don't have the right amount of material to fight this, you will just die to this build order. So he's got the bunker. Now, we need to see the 3rd tank come out and to see all the tanks connected. By the way, the tank on the high ground for Cure is probably not in a good spot. Should probably be behind the barracks. The placement of everything is kind of set up to deal with the rush that was hitting early on, but it's not going to be set up in the mid game to really hold this attack off very easily. Well, I'm saying that, but then again, he's not actually sending all of his Stalkers out. He's going to send an Immortal out and the two Stalkers inside the Warp Prism. So this is looking a little bit different than what I thought.
I think the lack of Blink just really limits the options right now for SOS to get damage done. So instead he's going to be pivoting, trying to get some harassment in here. Immortal and 2 Stalkers. Might even be able to snipe a couple of siege tanks, which will be excellent for SOS, set up for later attacks in this game.
Yeah, it's going to take out that depot. 1 depot for a Stalker. Meanwhile, the 3rd Nexus is coming down here. Now, Terran is also not going to be doing a whole lot of aggro stuff. There's a 3rd command center started here. I think when you see a Warp Prism floating around the outside of your base, you got to be pretty careful and kind of just defend. And more gates are coming down here for SOS.
Yeah, more gateways for SOS, and it's actually charged before Blink. SOS still playing this on 2 Vespene Geysers, by the way. Gas is not yet taking the natural expansion, so he is getting ready to have a huge swarm of Zealots. And should Cure go for some very early aggression with this build, which we didn't see from him in game number 1. Game number 1 was a much more passive style from Cure, but if he mixes it up and tries to get some damage done to SOS, perhaps thinking that he's further ahead than he actually is because of the odd early game, I think that will play into SOS's hands quite well. You can see SOS even hiding some of those Zealots from the Banshee as he was taking it out. Did not want Cure to recognize exactly what the setup is for SOS, because in a perfect world here is Protoss, Terran attacks into you,
yeah,
and you just absolutely overwhelm them with a ton of charge Zealots. You carry that momentum to a victory later on in the game.
Yeah, this is definitely a trap that Cure could walk right into, because what SOS is going to have is a lot. Now, SOS, we kind of talked about this in the previous game. He did not really go for the splash that we're kind of used to seeing, like, let's say somebody like Classic go for, right? Where it's like Colossus and then Disruptors. And so this never fares too well if the game goes on for really long. But if you want to hit really hard in the mid game, there's like 4 more gates finishing. +1 is halfway done. Charge is complete. And Terran, having Stim about to finish, just now finishes, he might just move out. And when he takes his 3rd base, he could be completely overrun.
I suppose even if Cure doesn't attack and it just tries to secure a 3rd expansion, that might also be the window here for SOS to try and get some damage done. As you see SOS potentially setting up for an attack right now by moving his army closer and closer to the 3rd base of Cure. And charge is done. There aren't too many Zealots on this side of the map, but we still have the proxy gateway to warp in from and reinforce. And there is a Warp Prism also getting staged near the natural expansion of Cure. A couple different angles of attack that could be viable here for SOS. And Cure, I think, is wisely mixing in some Widowmine to this composition. But here we go. First 4 Zealots potentially dropping here in the natural expansion. For now, it's just 1.
And is he going to actually come up here with this army? He definitely needs a little bit more Zealots. The spread, actually, maybe Cure's okay. That looks pretty healthy. The Widowmine placement, the tanks, The Zealots are going to come in here, so we are going to have an attack. There's a Raven. Yeah, let's see what he can do. The Archon's going to join with this as well. Blink has started, but I don't think we're going to be waiting for Blink to be done here. He has Zealots, so I think he's going to actually Zealot bomb on the tanks, or he's going to fly that into the main. Or he's going to go back home. I don't know what's going on here.
It's hard to attack into the defensive position of Kerr. You know there's going to be a lot of siege tanks, a lot of Widow Mines set up in a very good defensive position. What SOS really wants is for Kerr to try and come on the map so he could just pounce on his army, but I don't think Kerr's going to be doing that. You see him just sending out feelers right now with Vikings, with Ravens. We still, I believe, don't even have Blink on these Stalkers, so there's very little that SOS can actually do to try and get some damage done with these units. And SOS is now double expanding, but up until a moment ago, he was still in the 50s in terms of worker count, playing on just 4 gases, so very Zealot heavy. And it seems like now's the time for SOS to finally move in. The Zealots charge, they splinter between the natural expansion and the 3rd. Armor shredding missile on most of the backline here for SOS, but the Zealots are mostly uncontested there on the front. SOS, though, he does not like that angle, especially behind the depots for Cure. He's going to retreat, wait for the armor shredding missile to expire.
Yeah, I just don't know about this position. The layout is really nice here. The Widow Mines are going to be renewed. He's going to EMP that. There's going to be some crazy mine shots that are going to connect. And, I mean, he just can't get anything done. Cure is just so good at kind of stepping back, letting the splash damage come in, spreading out, stimming, and then hitting again.
Yeah, this style of Protoss where you don't play for splash damage, you instead just focus on a mineral-heavy army, which is mostly Zealots. It is really good at meeting the Terran player in an open field, but if the Terran plays the way that Cure is and just slowly, methodically expands in a safe manner, you know that you're getting outscaled, and that pressures you into attacking as the Protoss player. But at the same time, you can see the defensive setup of Cure. It is so effective at really shutting down any aggression that SOS tries.
Yeah, SOS basically went for a bust. Which, by the way, we don't really see anybody do this anymore. At least not this year. Like the setup for like, okay, you're on 3 bases, I'm going to hit you really hard and run you over. And when I say that, I mean with Charge and Immortals, with Archons. That's not as popular. And now Cure is really big. Cure's on 4 bases. And, you know, Protoss right now, I mean, look at the army. It's 4 Immortals, it's 2 Archons. This is not the kind of splash damage you need. Not that Archons, obviously, you know, they have splash damage, but you need like Colossus or Storm. Disruptors, maybe after that. And this is all intended to kind of overrun a Terran, but look at like the turtling here from Cure. The Planetary, the Widow Mines, the bottlenecks like this one here. Like, are you ever going to be able to get up here? He's kiting this down, and again, the punish is real. He just isn't really able to get in there, and he's kind of bleeding off units over time. And we know that Cure, like all of his games, there's going to be an inevitability of like lots of Marauders, Ghosts, all that tech that you need where it's going to be your turn. And that's where we're going to see him drive a stake through SOS's heart, I think. He's just going to be able to push all the way across the map and do a lot. And you can even see the supply difference now. It's literally SOS trying to bust Cure with a smaller army. And by the way, when Cure holds this, it's a fraction of his army. It's like a third or half holding it, because he has, like you can see here, he has stuff elsewhere. So even though we see SOS taking bases, which, by the way, generally is a good thing directionally for Protoss in a game like this, I don't think the tech is here to back it up. By the way, he's going to go double robo, so he's going to try to hard shift into that tech. So this is actually going to be triple robo, excuse me, because he probably realizes I need splash. I can't just have Immortals. I need to have like Disruptor, Colossus, everything if I'm going to fight this.
I think it's wise of SOS to try and pull back the aggression a little bit. Instead, opt to try and go for something a bit more tech-heavy. He's already taken additional gases, has a high-yield Vespene gas in the top right center as well. So the gas income for SOS, it is now very healthy. I think eventually he is going to go for at least one more small skirmish, just to trade out some of these Zealots, potentially some Stalkers, to remax on more cost-efficient units back at home. But up until this point, I mean, SOS, he's just been really struggling with the cost efficiency because Cure's defense has been so ironclad on his side of the map. This is really the first aggressive move we see Cure going for right now. It's another medevac drop here at the 14 minutes. Very low stakes pressure coming in by Kira. Just try to get a feel for exactly where the economy is at.
Yeah. Where exactly is Kira going to try to push? It seems like it's about time for him to do this. By the way, we do have to have him deal with this giant SOS death ball. Well, you know, I mean, you can trade out, but you have to basically win so hard that the Protoss flatlines and you run across the map. Okay, so here we go. He's going to move out now.
Liberator's on siege. Another armor shredding missile catching a lot of the Zealots, plus the EMPs. Some clutch spell casting by Kira. That's going to force SOS to disengage, but not until SOS already loses a lot of those units on the front line. And I was watching the production tab. He's actually remaxing on Stalkers, so it feels like SOS, he's gearing up for one more bust. He's not investing this freed up supply into building more Colossi or more Disruptors. He wants to attack again.
He's going to try to come in here and hit once more. And, I mean, this is, well, the Liberators make it tough. There's a lot of Stalkers here. The Liberators actually can still take a pretty decent fight. The Archon doing some work here as well. The Marauders, the Marines are going to come around from the side. And, you know, with Stim, it's very tough, especially Stim combined with Concussive, to ever really run away because the weaker units get pinged. They get slowed down. It looks like he's going to turn and try to fight this. You know, it's crazy. Even when you see the Immortals turn and fight, there's so much. By the way, 187 supply to 131. So this is probably where Kira's delivered a game where the counterattack is going to start to become fatal. I think he's going to just quickly regroup. And I don't know what the right direction to go in is. There will be counterattacks and probably only counterattacks here from SOS.
I thought that Kira, this is so funny. I thought that Kira was waiting until he has some Medivacs because his units are so low on HP, right? I was like, oh, surely he's building some Medivacs. We go to the production tab, it was 5 Liberators being built all at the same time. So now he's going to add in some more Medivacs. He starts up 3 more, but yeah, I think you just want to wait until you have the healing right now as Kira. You're feeling no pressure to move on the map because you're already saturated on these 5 bases. And SOS's army, you can see it right here. I mean, he's able to get a value pickoff and an orbital command center, but in a head-to-head engagement with the core army of Kira, the gateway composition is really going to struggle. SOS is now pivoting into adding 3 Robo Colossi, 3 of them already out on the map, which is going to be a great addition. But already, Kira's army has all of the pieces of the puzzle. It's heavy on Liberators. 3-3 is coming online pretty soon. The ghost count is enormously high, already 13 ghosts for Kira. Kira's playing a very slow, methodical game, and I like that he's taking it at his own pace, because already the bank of Kira is so much better than SOS's just because of the gas that he has. You're really not on a clock here as Terran. It might feel like it if you look at the mini-map, but Terran is absolutely not on the clock. Kira can play as slow as he wants.
Yeah, now Kira's going to move out, and he's going to start to do the sweep. And the problem is, I don't think the Protoss can actually stop this arm. Well, maybe he can, actually. I stand corrected. That's a big warp in. Yeah, the problem is that you're going to have a really complicated amount of splash to try to fight this. Now, maybe SOS can do it. He's making cannons. He's making batteries here. I actually think when you get this far along, cannons are probably one of the most important things to get. It's just have so much damage. Just like when you see planetary fortresses for Terran. You know, where like you sometimes just get planetary fortress. It's not even on an expansion. It's like next to the expansion. Because if there's just enough damage, just enough material to sponge up the fight, that when your army comes and you clear it, that's kind of the play. So maybe Kira is getting zoned out here.
That was a nice trade for SOS over at the 1 o'clock expansion, but they're cleaning up the core army here of SOS in the center. Colossus count perhaps reset down to just 1 or 2, as SOS is going to fire up a couple more there on the production tab. Trying to reinvest in those critical, high-value units. That's going to allow Kira to take some of the pressure off the front and focus his energies here on the top side. I'm not sure SOS is enough to defend. He blinks forward. With the reinforcements coming in from the south side, there might be enough here for SOS, but I mean, honestly, the art for Kira is so good on this ramp. And even landing the orbital just to make it another choke point here for Protoss to get through. I mean, Kira's just playing a masterful TVP.
He is, but he hasn't quite made that progress yet, right? He's going to have to take the space out up here. SOS is going to immediately counterattack into this location. This should draw some of the army back. I do think, though, Kira probably is going to have enough Vikings to always kind of confront this, though, right? And the top right bases are going to be flattened eventually.
Kira finally securing this location. to begin harvesting from. Planetary Fortress surely going to begin morphing in just a moment. That's going to be an angle for SOS to attack in once more. This bio, not a lot of healing. So with low number of Medivacs right now, but the Liberator's just doing quick work.
God, look at that supply just go to half right now.
I want to see the units lost tab so bad. I want to see how cost-efficient Kira's been. It's some of the most cost-efficient TVP I feel like you will ever see has been in Game 1 and Game 2 of this series.
Yeah, I mean, Kira is now wiping out the top right. Remember that Protoss has been drinking up resources from the bottom right quadrant the whole game, right? So now it's going to be about the two corners. SOS is not able to remax the same way that Kira is. By the way, Kira with more gas than minerals. So it's not even that you can remax. Like, look at, Protoss has got, was over 2k minerals there. That's like all Zealots. And this is where we see the counterattack that's just so teched out that you can't muster a force that can stop it. So SOS is going to try to counter. The problem is I think that only buys so much time.
Yeah, SOS going for the base trade. Once again, a familiar story to game number 1 as DT is getting to work also here at the 11 o'clock. Scan's going to come down. I think there might actually be enough SCVs to repair this. The DTs, they're pretty low in number.
He's okay.
Wow.
He holds that.
Kira defending while also taking out the expansions of the Protoss on the other side of the map. That's going to force a recall here from SOS.
Kind of a scattered recall. Some stuff comes back, other stuff does not. And Kira really just reconfigures what he's got and then goes right back to what his plan was all along, just to come back here and pound everything on this side of the map. The top right's been wiped. The bottom left will probably be the next target, although I think Kira's right now looking more for fights on the map than necessarily expansions to wipe out. He needs to keep the resources really oppressed here for SOS.
So many Zealots in this army. This army's almost pure Zealots. Like SOS is playing a mono battle right now. Yeah. He's going to go for another counterattack, another base trade. But Kira's army is just looking so good in this moment. SOS going to try and take on this base. The Zealots, I think, are even in the struggle to get surface area onto this planetary fortress because of the SCV's body blocking with a repair. I don't think he can take on this planetary tasteless. I mean, I guess in the end, but that's going to be it. GG is called.
GG, beautifully done there by Kira. I think SOS looked not terrible in the late game, but he wasn't, I think, trying to play a 2026 StarCraft 2 PvT. I think you need that splash damage. I think you need to have the ability to kind of punish the clumpiness of a Terran army. And I don't think you're going to do it with Immortal Archon Zealot overwhelming that. Kira's too good at basically positioning everything where, it's too, the SimCity's too good, it's too difficult to break.
Yeah, one of the scariest things that a Terran player can do in the current meta of PvT is just stand back and defend and craft the perfect army. And Kira did that wonderfully in Game 1, wonderfully to Game 2. Just had the perfectly sculpted force to absolutely steamroll the armies of SOS.
We're going to go to a short break. When we come back, ByuN versus SHIN coming up next.